Okay, so I'll begin. Thank you guys, everyone that's here today. Thank you for joining us for Merrimack's virtual webinar series, where today we'll be focusing on our new Bachelor of Arts in Creative Arts in Design. My name is Keelan Crow, and I'm the Senior Assistant Director for Visitor Service and Events. We're so glad you're here. So some of you may be familiar with Merrimack and are hoping to learn more about our new CATA program. Others may just be engaging with us for the very first time, so welcome. The webinar today is designed to give you a deeper look into our new Bachelor of Creative Arts and Design, the variety of concentrations that fall within the major, and a closer dive into curriculum and the innovative nature of the degree. I'll begin with a quick overview of Merrimack as an institution, and then we'll hear from Nancy Wynn, Associate Dean and Chair of Creative Arts Design and Architecture. I'll jump back on at the end to discuss what the next steps are for all of you listening. Lastly, we'll go through the information. Please feel free to submit any questions you have during this webinar, and I can try to answer them for you, as well as Nancy. And lastly, we'll have a moment towards the end where we'll pause to answer any more additional questions as well. Okay, so just some Merrimack fast facts. We are about 4,100 undergraduate students with 100 undergraduate programs, 13:1 faculty ratio. We have about 2,500 graduate programs, and we are growing, 30 graduate programs, and we are about 25 miles north from Boston. And I would say the average class size here is about 24 students. So we have, I would say, about a small to medium class size here, really beneficial for the students. I'm an alumni, I went to Merrimack. One of the main selling points for me was the smaller to medium class sizes. You kind of have this great personal connection with your professors. I'm still very close with some of them on LinkedIn. Some of them helped me get some of my internships here. So definitely a pro to Merrimack. So at Merrimack, we have 6 schools. We have the Girard School of Business, School of Arts and Sciences, School of Engineering and Computational Sciences, School of Nursing and Health Sciences, School of Ed and Social Policy, and the Graduate School of Counseling and Social Work. And for students who are unsure about what they want to go into, we have a great advising team that will help choose a path that will make sense for them. So Merrimack is changing and growing ever since Eve and I graduated. We have a lot of new things going on here. So of course, why most of you are here today to hear about the new 17K degree in creative arts and design. We also have a new degree in government for 17K, as well as a Bachelor of Arts in Humanities for 17K. So a lot of new exciting things, as well as 2 new residence halls, which are currently being built on our campus, expected to be done by fall 2026. So this is a visual of our new lecture hall being built currently. And then these are the res halls. I will say they're both almost finished. So really, really excited. We got to go in with hard hats the other day and they look pretty amazing. The new res halls are going to feature a new dining option and a new honors facility, as well as a new fitness center as well. So before Nancy begins, this is our 17,000 degree in creative arts and design. She's going to go over a little bit about the program. And if you guys have any questions, just please feel free to ask and I'll try to answer them. And here is Nancy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good evening. Great to be here with you. And as Keelan said, I'm the Associate Dean and Chair of Creative Arts Design and Architecture. So tonight I'm going to talk about creative arts and design. So what is it? It's our new degree that's interdisciplinary, right? It has interdisciplinary roots. It has music, it has studio arts, graphic design, uh, media, meaning film, and theater, right? So it's all of that together first, and then you choose a concentration. So as you go through the 4 years, everything that we've designed in this degree is going to prepare you for all these different kind of experiences you're going to have, but also some skill building, right? So you're going to learn how to collaborate, teamwork. You're going to learn how to research. So when you have to do your capstone project, you'll be confident in doing that. How do you play? How do you just have a good time and come up with really cool ideas or wacky ideas or really thoughtful ideas? You're going to learn how to publicly speak. A lot of the time, you're going to be critiqued and you're going to have to defend your work and talk about what it means and why you did it. So that will also help build your confidence in speaking publicly about your work. You're going to do a lot of writing, right? So a lot of the time, some people think that creative people don't write at all, but they write a ton. So we'll also help you build those writing skills that employers are looking for, no matter what your job is going to be. And of course, we're going to develop your creativity. So the main reason is to develop your creative voice. Maybe you don't know what that is yet, but over the 4 years, even within your second year and your sophomore year, you're going to start to kind of learn about, what are my aesthetics? What am I trying to say creatively? How am I going to do it? What kind of tools and materials do I want to use, right? So we're going to help you figure that out about yourself. By the 4 years, by going through the program, you will develop a professional practice, right? So you'll learn, like, if you have a concentration in the studio arts, what does it mean to be a professional artist? How do I take all my skills and work in the professional arts industry, if that's what you want to go into? Same with the music. What are the skills that I need to use to break into the music industry, or even be interested in music education? Graphic design, there's tons of different opportunities. Everybody needs design. So what industry do you even want to work in as a designer? And theater, how do you want to express yourself on the stage, or do you want to go behind the stage and do production or lighting design, sound design, scenic design? And if you notice, a lot of these things overlap. So we have students that will do music and theater, design and music. I mean, I have lots and lots of capstone projects that combine all these different things. We also have filmmaking and media, and now we have illustration to kind of round this out. So you will develop a professional level portfolio, a package to present yourself to the world for internships and for that job market. So these are our concentrations I just mentioned. So filmmaking and media arts. Now we do have the humanities, which is also another degree, does have something called film studies or film, I think it's just called film. And you might say, well, what's the diff, right? So filmmaking and media arts for us in our department is the making, right? You're going to be out there, cinematography, writing scripts, kind of figuring out the pre and post and making the films. And we do have design students. I have actually some senior design students. One of his senior capstone projects right now is to develop a horror film, right? So again, that mixing of the various different types of concentrations. Nobody wants to be one thing anymore, right? Graphic design, we can go into web design, UX design, print design. I have a lot of students who are graphic designers in the past that are really interesting in writing a book. So I've had at least a half a dozen over the 10 years I've been at Merrimack, and they wrote a children's book and then they illustrated it and self-published it. Last year, I even had a student that did an adult teen book, right? Again, wrote it, illustrated it, designed all the promotional material. And then I also had somebody else that did a comic book, completely printed comic book. And I also have one this year also doing a comic book. So again, that combination of design and illustration. We have music. So again, I mentioned you can do performance music, or we have music production. A lot of people are really interested in producing their own music. And if you go on our website, you can see lots of concept albums. You can also see music theory and music education, music for healing, music for mental health. All our students are interested in a ton of different things. Studio arts. What kind of media do you want to produce your work in? Do you want it to be two-dimensional painting, drawing? We have art of anatomy, which kind of deals with the physiology of the body, not just the outside of the body. We have, that's more like medical illustration. And then we have 3D design, we have sculpture. Um, so it depends on whatever media you want to experiment in, right? Then theater arts, as I mentioned before, you can work on the stage. We have plenty of students that want to audition. We have plenty of opportunities to audition. We have our own theater productions that the department puts on. Right now in the fall, mid-November, you can look us up. It's called Bright Star. It's a wonderful musical written by Steve Martin and Eddie Brickell. Great music, and all of our students have auditioned. And then we also have the oldest um, student club called the On Stagers Dramatic Society. And they are a club that is completely student run. They're given a budget and they put on mostly musicals, but they put on occasionally a play, and it's totally self-run. They do have faculty advisors, but they have an e-board, and they do everything soup to nuts, from all the auditions, directing, stage production, front house, back house, everything, right? So you'll have lots of opportunity to get some pre-professional experience doing some theater work. So our credit count is kind of high. It's 64 credits, right? Which is 16 courses. So in the liberal arts, that's a little high, but there's plenty of room to do some other things. In our gen ed, which you probably will be asking about later on, you also have to choose a minor, but within ours, you are going to take in your first year, intro to visual and performing arts. You're probably going to be taking creative drawing. And then in your sophomore year, you'll take some more of these classes. So in your freshman and your sophomore year, you kind of deal with your 8 core concentration courses. Then in your second semester, sophomore year into junior year, you choose a concentration, or you can choose a concentration right away if you know exactly what you want to do. And you can choose the 6 concentrations that I mentioned in the previous slide. You also have to take another related visual arts elective. You can take anything that you want. You do have a junior portfolio review that everybody has to take and pass. And then your 2 research and capstone courses in your senior year completes it. So it's a wonderful array of courses. Now, some of you might be sitting there and saying, like, I love music. Why am I taking a drawing class, right? I'll tell you that it teaches you how to see. You see all sorts of ways to view space. It might influence you on how you develop sound for a certain particular space. You learn to observe things. You become much better at attention to detail, which is a great skill to have anyway. And then some of you might say, hey, why do I have to take the nature of music if I like to just draw? That teaches you how to listen well, and you'll listen to details, and you'll also become just a better listener in general, right? The arts management class gives you a nice professional taste of the arts industry and the business side of things. The practice and identity class gives you a way to judge and assess your sophomore level work. You do a portfolio review of some kind, and it gives you a nice assessment of how you're doing at your second semester sophomore year before you launch into your junior year. Um, some other things that I might point out. Excuse me. Through this whole curriculum, you'll also learn to manage complex projects. You'll learn critical thinking skills, obviously creative skills. You'll learn to research and learn to do strategic decision making and demonstrate originality and inventiveness. You have to be resourceful if you're a creative person. You'll learn that. You'll understand how to gather and use facts and evidence in your research when you do your capstone projects. And in design, you also do that a lot just to understand client work. And you'll learn to do it in a meaningful and relevant way, right? You'll have relevant discourse in your critiques. Our program is rigorous, and you'll have some really interesting conversations in class. You'll develop adaptive responses to new and emerging technologies, right? So how are we dealing with AI in the arts? We're going to get into that. How are we going to deal with different software always changing all the time? You'll go through different ways to learn how to deal with that. It can be overwhelming even for professionals. You'll practice integrity ethical behavior in your work and learning how to provide constructive feedback and act in the interests of the larger group. And that definitely are the values and ethics of having a Merrimack education. So we build that into the creative side and get you to think about that too. In this curriculum, as I said, you have room for other minors, one definitely, and maybe even two if you want. You could fit in a study abroad if you want. If you're interested in that, please let the advising center know right from the get-go because we want to be able to plan for that in your four-year degree. There's plenty of opportunities for service learning and obviously for internships. You're going to be working with excellent faculty all the time. I have a wonderful array of faculty that share their professional stories with you in the classroom. And you'll find out, just like Keelan said, we're small, we're medium-sized, but you'll feel a part of the creative community in our department. We care about you. We don't let you fall through the cracks at all. We know who you are. We're going to help you develop your creative voice with you, not dictate it at you, but with you to help guide you on how you want to be creative in the world. And along the way, you'll get internships, you'll get employment, you'll get professional skills, and hopefully you'll just feel really confident and great about your own creative voice. So I mentioned some skills learned here, right? You're going to demonstrate originality and innovation. You're going to do writing and public speaking. That's definitely going to be part of your jam. There's teamwork, lots of teamwork. Sometimes you might be working on your own on individual projects, but you'll always come back together to do critique. That's part of teamwork too. You're going to learn to manage complex projects. I was just talking to my seniors this morning about layering multiple tasks. How do you deal with multiple things happening at the same time? How do you project manage yourself so you can get everything done? You'll learn that. Obviously, you have to learn research because everything should be meaningful in your work and making strategic decisions on how to get it done, where to get your materials, how much things cost. You'll learn some leadership skills and supportive skills. When do you want to take the lead on a project? When do you want to be supportive and hang back a little bit? You'll, as an artist and a creative person, you always have to be adaptable and flexible. That's just part of what we do. Technical skills, it depends on what concentration you choose, but there will be lots of technical skills that then you can put on your resume. Like I said, it's a rigorous program and you want to love it. Hopefully you love it and you will develop a strong work ethic to get your work done. And as I ended with empathy toward community here at Merrimack College, we want to make sure that we're not just thinking about ourselves, but we're also thinking about others. So we'll talk about that and how art can do that too.
Okay, so these are just some of the highlights from our new degrees. We have exceptional value, career alignment, flexibility, and community. Thank you, Nancy, for explaining the new degree. We are very excited about that and all of the highlights within it. So you can customize your experience, Nancy, if you wanted to go a little bit into the co-ops, internships, study abroad, research, and service learning that CATA will offer.
Sure. So we do have internships in all the different concentrations, and you work with the O'Brien Center to do that. You also might get a lead from faculty. Faculty get leads all the time, and we share them with our own students, but we also share them with the O'Brien Center. I'm also a career champion. It's a program that we have. And we also have 4 years of kind of tasks that you can do to set yourself up to be more professional. Right now, we're running some creative career salons for a year, which you can also participate in and do other things to help you set yourself up for internships. So internships are always available. We do have the Warrior at Work program. That is a co-op. And usually that happens in your junior year sometime, probably first or second semester, depending on the concentration. And usually you take 2 electives out and your co-op is replaced with it. So you're working full-time. You're going to work full-time, but you still can live on campus if you want to, or if you're commuting from home, fine. but we still want you to be involved in the creative community. So you still can be auditioning, you still can be working in the theater, you still can be doing clubs or intramural sports or whatever you love to do. We want you to continue to do that with the co-op, but you will be going off to your job. So there are some opportunities for some of you to do that. I mentioned study abroad, and if you want to do that, please try to think about that ahead of time so that we can hold some courses back a little bit so we know where you might want to go and what's available, what's the best options for you. Talked about research. You'll be doing your own research, but sometimes there are research opportunities to work with some of the faculty on doing professional level work with them. And the service learning component always kind of is thrown in through the ministry office. They have lots of great opportunities. And then there's also some other things that come through our faculty mailbox. There's different things that happen, and I send them out to the students to say, hey, you might be interested in this service learning, and it has an art component or a creative component. So the one thing I always tell my students, but I don't know, like read your emails, please read your emails. There's like a ton of stuff in your emails. I know you don't like to, but sometimes you miss the boat if you don't read your emails.
And just to finish today, before we answer any questions, next steps for Merrimack. Like I said, I do work in signature events here at Merrimack, so open houses, accepted students days. We also have a lot of opportunities to come here, do tours of the school. We have info sessions. At our open houses, we have student panels. The deans of every schools are there. So if you're really interested, it's a great way. I would really highly recommend coming in person. We just had an open house this past week and it was amazing. So these are just some of the ways that you can, the next steps, go to our website and yeah. And now we can lead into any questions, or if not, we can finish. Someone asked, do you have a core curriculum of math, science, etc.?
I can answer that, Keelan, if you'd
Okay.
like me to.
Yeah.
Okay. So Merrimack just introduced a new, it's called the core curriculum, and it's 10 courses. So it's built on, in your freshman year, you'll take a class called Who Am I? So you kind of start to learn just in general to kind of explore your own thoughts, feelings, ethics, values, things like that in relation to the world and community. You have an RTS class or a religious and theological class. And again, it can be all sorts of world religions, sacred doors. There's lots to choose from. You do have to take a STEM class, a social science class, and a humanities class. Then you need to take a minor, because I mentioned that, right? So we built into the core curriculum a 5-course minor or a 3-course certificate. And there's tons to choose from. We even have some in creative arts and design, right? So say you have a concentration in theater, you could minor in music, right? So there's things like that. Or you could minor, I had graphic designers that minored in history. I had one that minored in criminology, right? So there's different minors that are available. There's a list that you will be able to choose from. I would suggest that you explore them. You choose a passion, you choose something that might help you kind of further your passion or further your career. And advisors in the advising center will help you figure that out, or even faculty members like myself, or you can just have a conversation with somebody if you're a little unclear on what you minor or get a certificate in. The certificate is more 3 courses that are skill-based primarily, and a minor gives you much more depth of knowledge. So that's the core curriculum. So if you're majoring in the creative arts and design, and let's say your concentration is graphic design, yes, you still have to take a STEM class. There's lots to choose from. It could be a math class, but it could be astronomy. It could be an exercise physiology class. There's lots to choose from. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Nancy. Another question is digital media similar to Merrimack's graphic design concentration?
So digital media, I believe there's a digital media production minor that's mostly in comm and media. And it's more focused on television production, communication development, things like that. So I wouldn't say it's the same as graphic design. Graphic design does use quote unquote digital media. We have courses in social media design, data visualization, web design, UX design. So, and then I have some students that love to use the iPad and use use it to make digital art. So digital media is kind of it's a vague term and it's like a big term. It can be all encompassing. But if you saw something on the web, on our site that said digital media production, that is more focused on television production more than graphic design. I hope that answers your question.
And then looks like the last question we have is, would dual enrollment courses potentially cover some of these? She did specify dual enrollment courses taken as a high schooler at a community
Okay,
college.
right. So we do have certain classes that I could talk about like AP classes, right? So if you have AP classes, some of them will transfer in, obviously. You test out, you test and you get a certain number and they come in as transfer credits. And yes, some of them can count for some of the college level. That absolutely happens all the time. If you have like an AP portfolio class or an AP drawing class and you have a portfolio, we would love to see it, and then we can make an assessment on where you might be placed in a drawing class, right? If it's an AP class in math or chemistry, again, based on the number that you get from your testing, it does usually come in, but admissions would be able to help you more with that. So hopefully I answered that question.
Thank you, Nancy. Another question we have is, when is the application deadline for early action? Can you share how the faculty's real-world experience influences their teaching and enriches the student learning experience? By
That's a
Anthony.
great
Yeah, I
question.
love
I
that
love that
question.
question. So I'll speak from my experience, and then maybe I can also speak from another faculty. So I am I am a designer. I am an artist. I'm a curator. I'm a writer, right? I'm also a lot of other things too, but those four influence my work in the classroom, right? So I've worked with different clients. I've run a graphic design business with my husband. He actually is a commercial copywriter. So all the experience that I've had working with clients, because design is a business, you work in the business environment, I bring into my classroom. I have deadlines. I have students do project management. Sometimes I actually bring in real clients. So the students work on real projects. I have one going on right now. I also am a curator of a gallery in Hartford, Connecticut. So I also bring in that knowledge to get students to understand, like, how do you assess artwork? How do you deal with artists? How do you build programming? If you're going to do programming, how do you do that, right? How do you do a contract with an artist, right? So a lot of experience that I have and I work on the outside, I bring that in as projects or ways to teach students how to deal with similar structures. Writing, I published a book last year. So again, I deal with writing. I teach a writing intensive class. My seniors are doing lots of writing, so I'll work with them on how to get their writing up to snuff and deal with technology now to help you understand how to use the technology well, uh, to write better. Um, Another one of my colleagues, he's a composer, right? So he'll do a lot of professional gigs on writing compositions, musical compositions, uh, being paid for this. And then he teaches music composition to his students, right? He teaches music production, he teaches songwriting. So he does it himself. And then he has the chops to be able to bring it into his classrooms. All of the faculty that actually work in creative arts and design are practicing, are professional artists. Studio artists, he's doing Professor Latiano is doing shows and making artwork and getting exhibits and getting residencies all around the United States, right? So we have this knowledge, we impart it, and we put it into our classrooms. So we bring a lot of professional research into our classrooms. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Nancy. And
Mhm.
then Susan asked, can I transfer early college credits that I have gotten in my junior/senior year high school years? And also, can I test out of my first year art classes I might have already taken?
Okay, so the early college credits, I kind of answered that before. Maybe again, you can talk to admissions about classes that are not fine art, and they'll be able to answer exactly which classes will transfer. The fine art ones, like I said, we don't require a portfolio to enter, but if you have one, you should share it with me. You can send it to my email. You can make a little folder, some kind of digital sharing would be beneficial. And then I can look at it, we can review it. Also, if you did take certain fine art AP classes, then that will help you test out also. But a portfolio actually does a lot of good beneficial work to help communicate where are your skills? Are they where they need to be? So that's the kind of conversation that we would have. And we would want to do that, when you apply, you certainly can send a portfolio request review to us, and we'll definitely take a look at it ahead of time for sure.
And yeah, just to add to that, Susan, the usually we can I'll connect with you offline, but our admissions counselors, they're the people to go to ask about the college credits and specifically which ones you would like to transfer over, and I can put you in contact with our college counselors after this. And Anthony did specify in film and theater production, which you answered, Nancy, about
Okay.
the faculty's real world experience.
Yeah, actually, I can explore that a
Yeah.
little bit more. So, even my senior administrative assistant, who's a gem, she creates wonderful creative culture for our department. She actually is a wonderful, very, very experienced stage production manager. And she actually is running a show right now down in Saugus called Ride the Cyclone. It's an excellent production. So, faculty do it and staff do it. Everybody still is doing their professional work, right? The people who work at the Rogers Center, if you come and visit and if you see a show there, music or theater, my technical director there, he's doing professional work outside. So we don't stop doing our work. We continue to be our professional selves and keep pushing ourselves as well as teaching and doing working with you.
Great. Looks like those are the end of our questions. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And like I said, we have all the information on our website. If you're interested in any of our open houses or visiting us on campus, it's all on our visit portion of our website. And thank you so much. And thank you, Nancy. It's really, really helpful. And I hope everybody has a great night.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.